Hey everybody, happy Thursday. Welcome to day 3 of our daily creative challenge here for Photoshop. How's everybody feeling today? It's really good to be here with y'all. I'm Kathleen. I'm your host for this daily creative challenge, and we're going to be just learning some good old Photoshop this week, next week, and then by the end of everything, we're going to have a more vast knowledge of the basics of Photoshop and also a cool project to put on our Behance, as well as a new Discord community. If you're not already a part of it, you can come and join us and stay forever. That reminds me of that line in Mulan. It's like, would you like to stay forever? Would you? In our Discord community. If you're new in the chat, give me a shout out. I'd love to say hello to you. I'm mostly watching the Behance chat, so if you're watching on YouTube, come on over to Behance. be.net/live is the quickest link to get over to us. Mia says coffee is reloaded and ready. Yes, Mia, perfect timing. Glad that you're back. I already finished my first cup and I'm kind of thinking that maybe I'll have to make a second one right after this stream. I don't know. It's a Thursday. Let's get wild. What's up, Leah? Good to have you here. Juan, hello. Andreas, good to see you. So today we're going to be working on a double exposure. For the last couple of days, we've been focusing on blend modes and like transforming type, just getting those basics of Photoshop down. But today we're going to work on blending images together. A lot of people work on photo composites in Photoshop. It's kind of the best program for it. So we're going to learn the basics of it today. Before we jump into that though, let me just show you the challenge landing page really quick so you know how you can register for the challenge and participate and be notified every day of when the new challenge is live. So if you go to behance.net/challenge/Photoshop, you'll land here and you can register to the challenge just by clicking this blue button that says, "Hi, take the challenge." And you just say, "Okay," boom. It's free, it's easy, and you'll get a notification every day of each challenge. You can also just come here to this landing page and you'll notice if you scroll down, each day is unlocked as we go. So today, yes, we're doing the double exposure. If you want to use the same files that I'm using, you can click this Get Started button, and that'll take you to Creative Cloud files where you can just add it to your library, add it to your work, and work alongside me. Now, you don't have to use these. I know a lot of people in the Discord were saying that when they downloaded it, it had a watermark on it, and that is unfortunately intentional. We can't give out the licensed images, but you can use whatever image you want. So if you have access to a licensed library or you want to use another website, you're welcome to do that. No one's going to get mad at you, especially not me. How could I? What's up, Sean? Good to see you. Seeing a lot of familiar names in the chat. That's awesome. Okay, so back to our daily challenge. Like I said, double exposure. If you scroll back up, you'll kind of learn a little bit more about how the challenge works. One of the biggest parts of this challenge is the community. So I'm chatting with the community right now in the chat pod, but this live stream is only 25 minutes long. And a day is 24 hours long. So what do you do for the rest of those hours in the day? Well, you come over to Discord. And this is where you can post your works in progress. You can get feedback. Drewski just posted their day 1 challenge, and I'm loving this liquefied texture. That's so cool. It's like a graphic version of Under the Sea, which is great because the whole theme behind this challenge is kind of these like neon graphic animal shapes. If you haven't been here for the past couple of days, we are building a stamp set to save endangered animals. So every day we're going to be focusing on a different animal and a different technique. Yeah, Keith, that's a great point. You can do a free search on Adobe stock for images to use. There's a whole library. I think they were released around Max, so like October, a couple months ago. Wow, October feels like a couple months ago, but also a couple years ago. You know what I mean? So let's actually really quick, if you want to join us on Discord, I'll show you how to do that. Real quick before we jump into Photoshop, bit.ly/psdiscord, capital P, capital S, and you can download it on your phone to chat on the go. You can do it on your browser or get the good old app if you're feeling spicy. Definitely feeling spicy. Oh, Susan, no way they're talking on the UK news about the pangolin being endangered. Perfect timing. We love to stay relevant here. ATN, the Discord is a really awesome community. I don't know if you're asking for the link or what it is, but Sam's got you in the chat. Nice. Okay, enough talking. let's get to pixel pushing. So if you've been here the past couple of days, you know that this is the template for this entire challenge. We're using the same template every day, keeping similar color palettes throughout every day's challenge so that when we do these kind of disparate and very different techniques, it's an attempt to make things look a little bit more cohesive. That's one struggle with these daily creative challenges because we're trying to teach a wide swath of the tools, but it can be hard to make final products that feel cohesive using so many different techniques. So that's just a way that we can keep things a little bit more cohesive. Color palette and keeping the same structure in our designs. What's up, Billy? Howdy to you. Subin, good to see you. And Steve, as always, how you doing? So if you don't know what a double exposure is, it's basically multiple images being combined into one. It comes from people doing double exposures actually in camera, like exposing a piece of film and then closing the shutter and then exposing it again. So that would kind of end up with something that looks like this, where we have an elephant shape and I've double exposed it with kind of this like Serengeti-esque photo. I don't think this actual photo is in the starter files, but something very similar to it is in there. So feel free to follow along with me. Okay, so let's get started. I already have the elephant and the landscape images in my layers palette. I'm gonna go over to my properties. Let's make this a little bit bigger. There we go. I already have these in here. I just dragged them from my library into my workspace. And the first thing that I'm gonna do before I start meshing these things together is I'm gonna do some pre-work, which would, in this case, just be desaturating both of these layers, since they are eventually going to have kind of a single color overlay over them, perhaps like this. I'm gonna put it over a black and white image so that none of these like browns and greens kind of show through that orange. What's up, Gus? How you doing? Michelle says, I love doing in-camera double exposures. Yes. Michelle, I'd love to see them if you have any in your portfolio. So let's get started by desaturating our elephant. We don't have to do anything super special because luckily both of these images have a similar value range. They're both not super high contrast. I mean, there's a pretty dark, there are dark darks in both of them, but they have a nice wide range of grays in the middle. So when I desaturate both of them, they're gonna kind of feel like they exist in the same world. So a really quick way to desaturate would just be to do Command or Control U. If I do that, that'll open up a hue and saturation layer adjustment window. So I could just drag the saturation down to 0. Or I think I can do Shift Command U. Yep, and it's hard to see in this image. I'll zoom in a little bit. Shift Command U, and it desaturates everything. And it doesn't make an adjustment layer or anything. So this is a pretty like destructive way to work. So don't do this like with your raw files that you want to keep editable. But since I know this is just a stock image that I can grab from my library whenever I want, it's not too big of an issue. All right, let's do it here as well. Remember, Shift Command U. Also, that doesn't work if it's a smart object. So you could just do Command U and do the desaturate window, or you could rasterize your layer and then do Shift Command U. The things that we learn when we're learning Photoshop. Pretty unreal. Richard says that there's really great people on Discord. The mentors are very generous with their insights and help. Thank you, everyone. That's so nice of you to say, Richard. I know, especially the mentors. They are in there, they are chatting, they're giving feedback. Sam and Valdair and Chad, everyone in there is super awesome. I'm in there, but not as much as they are. They are the true MVPs. So let's remove the background from both of our images so we can get rid of the distracting elements in the back. This one is super simple. It's literally already kind of isolated. It just has a white background. So we can really easily just go to one of our selection tools. Doesn't have to be object selection. It could be quick selection or magic wand tool. And we could use the magic wand tool and just select the white. Oops, I'm on the wrong layer. There we go. That would do a pretty good job. We could do select subject. That does a pretty good job. We could do object selection tool and just drag it around here. They're all going to do a great job with an image that's already kind of prepped to be isolated. Now in this case, we could just delete the background. We know that we're not going to use this white pixels, these white pixels. So I could delete them, or I could just do a layer mask down here in the bottom right, and that'll get rid of them. They're still here if we need them. I don't think we will, but sometimes you want to hoard your pixels for some reason. Okay, now this one is going to be fun. There's a couple different ways that we can get rid of this gray background, because you'll notice in the final project, we want to keep some of this, the light pixels up here. It gets a little bit lighter gray up here. So this is a little more difficult, and I'm going to show you two ways that I found worked pretty well. Manisha says, I'm a bit late to join. I love the post stamp frame. Awesome. Thanks for being here. Also, chat, you don't have to do an elephant today. You could do whatever animal you want, but that's just what I chose. All right, so ensuring that we have the right layer selected, one way that we could do it would be to use our object selection tool, select lasso, and just select, whoops, there we go, all of the non-sky pixels. This is actually the harder way. Usually doing object selection should be the easiest way, but I'll show you a way after this that's even simpler. So you'll notice that it doesn't even select the sky or the landscape behind it. So let's go into select and mask up here at the top and do some selecting by hand. This is supposed to be easy, but it's actually taking longer than I would want. So I'll show you how I would complete this, and then we will go to the easier option. Go down here. All right, that's looking fine. Now let's go to the Refine Edge brush tool. I think maybe Jesus just showed this in the stream before me with Rework It and Claudie. And I'm going to just paint over the branches. I could make my brush a little bit bigger just to speed things up. And paint over here. So this is a good way to get a more finessed selection, but that took, I don't know, 30 seconds total, and it could take 10. Before I move on, I'm going to increase the opacity just to make sure I'm not losing anything. And I'm also going to increase the contrast because I want to make sure that these branches are pretty stark against my light background. And if I don't increase the contrast, they're going to look a little bit feathery, I would say. So let's increase that. I'm going to do output to layer mask. And there you go. We've removed the background. And now we can start double exposing together. Now really quickly, let me show you the way that I would do it even quicker. So I just duplicated my layer. I'm going to delete this layer mask. So notice how the sky is pretty much all the same color. It's like this medium gray. So I'm going to come up to Select, Color Range, and it's going to open up this color range selection window. I'm going to make sure that I have my additional selection sampler selected. And I'm just going to start clicking in the sky. Click here, nothing much is changing in this preview window, but I like to do this just to ensure that I'm getting the entire range. Okay. And if you zoom in, you'll see that it does a really good job of selecting all of these little teeny tiny branches. So if we layer mask, oops, had the wrong selection chosen. Inverse that selection, layer mask, and there you go. So both of them do a pretty good job. I'd say even the second version is a little bit better. So we'll get rid of this. And now we need to start meshing our layers together. One thing that I like to do is I like to turn down the opacity of the additional layer. So in this case, the elephant is kind of the base and the tree is like our double exposure. Oh, you can click and drag. That's awesome, Sean. So you don't have to just click, click, click in the color range selector. I didn't know that. Thank you for telling me. Leah says ASMR Photoshop masking. Oh no. Am I being too ASMR-y? Is my volume too low? Sorry, everybody. All right, so I like to turn down the opacity so that I can then select my move tool and place this exactly where I want it. So my goal is to have this tree kind of coming out of the back of the elephant, kind of poised behind its front leg. And I want some of this texture of this tree kind of coming out of the top of the elephant's head. It's looking pretty good. I also really like how this shape kind of mimics the arc of the elephant's back. Oh, the volume's okay, you're just relaxed. Good. Photoshop should be relaxing, as much as it can be. Okay, let's turn our opacity all the way back up. And remember how I said that these images kind of have a similar value range? You can see that here where the grays of the double exposure image, the tree image, kind of match the grays in the elephant. It's not too different. So that is awesome. We love it when that just happens organically. You could use some like level adjustments if two images don't match to help them match better. Okay, so let's go back to our elephant. Now I want to select the outline of the elephant. We already have the outline of the elephant over here in our layer mask, and a really easy way to select the pixels in a layer is to hold Command or Control. I'll zoom in. Hold Command or Control, you'll see this little icon appear that looks like a marquee, like a selection. So you'll hold Command or Control, click the thumbnail, and it will select all of the pixels in that thumbnail, which in this case is the elephant. That's exactly what we want. So let's turn our tree layer back on. I'm actually going to inverse the selection. You can do that with Shift Command I or go to Select and Inverse. I'm going to make sure that I'm in my layer mask, and with the brush tool selected and with black selected, I am going to hide all of the pixels at the bottom side and the edges of my elephant. So if you've never used a layer mask before, or to like painted in and out of a layer mask, all you have to remember is black hides and white reveals. So when we paint with black, we're going to be hiding the pixels, and if I paint with white as my foreground color, it will bring those pixels back. So it's a non-destructive way of working. It's pretty nice. And I used to be very confused by them, like back in college when I was learning Photoshop, but now I use them all the time. Okay, looks pretty good. We're leaving the tree because we want it to be kind of protruding from the elephant. And if I deselect, it's looking pretty good. There's still some hard edges, so I'm going to come down here to the bottom. I'm going to decrease my opacity and just paint these hard edges away a little bit. This goes back to the images having a similar value range, so it looks pretty good without having to do too much work. We'll bring this tusk back in. I kind of like the elephant having no eye. It almost makes the elephant feel like this like elemental creature. And there we go. I've been playing too much Guild Wars too, where there's like forest elementals and they're like these big tree animals. That's what this is reminding me of. Looks pretty good. We could bring back in the eye a little bit if you want to, but I'm not gonna. Oh, thank you, Elena, for helping with the typeface name. I love this one. All right, looks pretty good. Now the last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you that you can also change the outline of the elephant if you wanna help it mesh more into this naturalistic vibe. I'm gonna select the layer mask on the elephant layer, go with black to hide, turn up my opacity, and we could mesh the elephant top with the double exposure image, so it's even more kind of meshed together. That looks pretty cool, actually. I wasn't planning on doing that, but that feels more like a real double exposure to me. Awesome. I'm digging it. Sam says it's been a while since you played Guild Wars. I just started playing it. I'm kind of obsessed. Kind of obsessed. What class am I? We must know. Teacher? No, I'm a elementalist. I always play like a wizard character. I can't be stopped. All right, now we can resize our image a little bit more if we'd like to. It looks like I got this caught in the layer mask a bit. Let's see where that is. I think it's in this layer. Yep. There we go. Whoops. trying to Photoshop and drive at the same time. And then we're pretty much done. That's a double exposure. Thanks, Jennifer. I'm glad that you think it looks cool. But you'll notice that this doesn't really match the vibe of the other designs I've been doing. Remember I mentioned that I have this kind of neon and black color palette going. So I'm gonna try and do what I can to help it fit better into that theme. One thing that's super duper easy I could do is I could group my double exposure together. So I'm gonna select the top layer, hold shift, click the elephant layer, and do Command G to group it, or you can right click on it and group from layers. Now from here I can apply maybe a solid color or a gradient. Let's choose something nice and warm, and then clip that gradient to my group. Create clipping mask. We've done this a couple times in the past couple days. And let's play with the blend mode to help it blend in a little bit more. Ooh, that's nice. This does create the problem of not having a dark background, so we could do that as well. We could just let this be kind of a standalone piece that has a light background with a very vivid color scheme. It's really up to us. What do you guys think? I'm thinking of something more bright and neon like this. Hard light looks pretty good. I know I missed this little area. And let's pop over to my finished design right here and see how I finish. So we have this nice gradient happening. I even added a little ellipse, like a very squished out shadow, to add a graphic element to help this mesh with the rest of the designs, but also just to add a little bit of interest. So it's not just an elephant floating, it also has some sort of grounding on the floor. I added a gradient to the text so that it was a little bit more interesting. And I like this, I like the simplicity of it. One other way that I went is I changed this all to white and then added a darker gradient in the back. So here is that version. This is more in line, I think, with like the stampy texture that I have been going for. So chat, let me know. Do you like the more photorealistic, bright on a white background, so number 1, or do you like number 2 more? Let me know. I'm interested. I'm not going to post this on Discord yet, or maybe I'll upload them both on Discord right after the stream and let you vote there on which one that you like the direction of more. I must do what feels right to me, of course. Thank you, General Kenobi. You're so wise. And we're good. So we can export this. Let's upload it onto Discord when we're done so we can all get feedback on our work, and then we'll upload it on Behance after that. Before I leave, let's check out the schedule for the rest of the day. So right before me, Claudia and Jesus were here for Rework It. That's such a fun stream. Right after me, we have more photo compositing happening. So if you liked this, stick around because there is more, maybe even at a more advanced level, coming up right after me. That'll be a 2-hour stream. Paul will be hosting the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge, followed by some more branding. And then we have 2 XD streams. Oh, sorry, 1 XD stream with Howard doing the XD Daily Creative Challenge. And then finally, one of my favorite streams, the Draw Along with Kyle Webster is going to be at 2:30. So if you have kids or someone who's trying to get into drawing, that Draw Along is chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. Really great place to start. So I will be back tomorrow for the last day of our first week of this challenge. We're going to be covering a totally different workflow, and make sure you stick around for more Adobe Live coming up right after me, and I'll see you tomorrow morning. Thanks everybody. Goodbye.